Hey associates, Professor HB here, and this is just another ride along, this time of me working on the first half of the usability report. So I grabbed the template, that we had and was just changing, obviously making it fit me, my situation, filling in my info, and here I am, just starting to kind of create that table. Of course, the instructions said, right, we needed two different sites and we needed to test the writing style organization of each, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything or forget, so I just go ahead and setting up my table to reflect that. And now I'm deciding like the instructions said, and again I did this at kind of the B level, so just kind of very literally just doing what the instructions say, kind of that baseline, showing up, doing my job. And said, you just had to have something to assess each one of those areas. So for some of them, I used all three that we had in the template, and for some, I just picked the two that seem kind of the most direct. Now I'm jumping into the bottom part of the template and writing out my audience persona, that statement, to make sure I didn't forget it. Both were very similar, but they diverged in kind of what specific resources these teaching faculty would need. So the Faculty Resource Center, right, stuff about classrooms, the registrar's office, they need information about late semester logistics. And so then I highlighted that just so I wouldn't forget them. And now I started bullet pointing and writing down just some of the things that I knew or figured I'd want to look up about that. And so then I actually just go off, do some research, and film that. And actually went off and did my test. So when I came back, I don't know, I guess I just forgot to film me like actually filling in this table with my notes. But this was just the observations from my 6 tasks, so 3 per document, and then just I literally just wrote down what I witnessed the users doing as they were completing the tasks and any comments that they made. So now I'm back here starting to fill out the assessment portion of it, and so I'm using to do the assessment, right, looking at the writing style organization. I am focused on okay, what did I learn from my observations, but also what else can I learn? And so for character limits, I actually did some research using what we learned from the librarians, and looked up some stuff about like character length for digital reading, and found it was like a certain amount of characters. And so I was testing, right, the character limits in my Word document, and then I also looked at what it looks like mobile speaking. And with those results and kind of what I saw and learned there, I, went back and started, filling in kind of if it fit for good line length. Some of the mobile was weirdly cut off. Some of the videos are kind of odd. Some of the lines were longer than that, one paper kind of mentioned. And then, writing in some recommendations. So this process is really both use research, but also your chance to kind of use some of that critical thinking, and just really thinking about and turning what you saw the users interact with into, some meaningful action and recommendations. And so here, it's same thing. Here's the explanation. A lot of it was, drawn from my observations and then jumping back in. So now I'm actually looking, I was looking to see if that image had alt text on it, and my screen reader was not picking up on it, was not reading it. And so I don't think that it has alt text. And then I also am now looking at the visuals on the events to see if they're meaningful, just kind of checking back in with the document itself, as well as thinking about what my users had kind of said, and really just coming up with like, actually there's not a lot of visuals on this page, which is in itself like okay, but the visuals they do have don't have a lot of clear connections, and so that kind of became my recommendation. Also, I noticed it was hard for my folks to kind of skim and find the info that they're looking for on the page, and so maybe some more symbols that are meaningful could help there. And then last, as far as the organization, really I was drawing that directly from my user tasks and observation. Often for website usability, a lot of it goes back to this organization. So that one was really pretty fast and easy for me to, look up and do. Now I'm just moving on to the registrar's page, right? Same thing, kind of rinse and repeat. Pulling up the registrar's website, looking through that. Hey, does it have this guideline? Does it not? And discovering like, oh, maybe not. Especially my tests for the registrar's website had a bunch of errors. Didn't have a lot of success. Lots of things were just inaccessible or broken for my user. And so there's a lot that I definitely had to say about this. So this whole process, like this whole video, 7 minutes long, that first segment maybe took me about 40 minutes just getting everything set up and thinking through what I wanted to do. This kind of process of going back and forth on the websites, comparing what I had in my notes to then what I could kind of go back and discover and looking at it with that critical eye, took me maybe like another hour, I think, or so. Maybe a little bit more, maybe like 90 minutes, sped up. So not super, super long, but definitely a little bit longer, right? You do need to put some thinking power into it. And one thing I really found, like writing out the assessment in the table like this really, really helped me be a lot faster than with my actual report write-up and just kind of pulling the key recommendations after seeing all of them in to make that decision. And then I wrap up and I will see you maybe in the next video to work on the rest of it.